What is retro? I've seen a lot of videos about GameStop's new retro locations, but all I'm seeing is people picking up Xbox 360, PlayStation 4, maybe some Wii U, just that type of disc-based games. So let's talk about what retro actually is. Welcome to the most must-see channel on YouTube. Welcome to Barnes Arcade. If you look up retro, what the meaning is, what the definition is, you get kind of two answers. The first one is vintage is at least 20 years old, while retro is something new that's meant to look or resemble something vintage or older. So that kind of makes sense in the sense of clothing that is made to look like previous generations. My wife dragged me to the mall a couple months ago. We went in, I believe it was Rue 21. I'm not real sure. And when I went in there, I was thinking, this looks like a Goodwill, because all the clothing lines all look like stuff that we wore from the 90s. So that is retro in that sense. Also, like the new pixel art style games that are little 2D sprites with like an open world kind of made to resemble 16-bit, 8-bit era. That would be retro under that definition. Also, you have something like the NES World Championships that just came out. That is a brand new game meant to have the resemblance and the feeling of the 1990 World Championships that Nintendo had. That is under that definition of retro, meaning something new meant to imitate something old. There's also a second definition that you find, and that says that retro is at least 20 years old. So anything retro is at least 20 years old, from 20 to 39 years. That is the retro era. Anything 40 years to 100 is vintage, and anything 100 years and more is antique. So that also makes more sense in the GameStop topic and the video gaming realm, because that gives you a date. That gives you a timeline. Anything that is beyond 20 years old is retro. So this is 2024. So that would mean anything from 2004 or earlier would be retro. So when I see these people going into GameStop and they're picking up Xbox 360 and PS4 and all these systems, none of those fall into the category of being retro in that definition. There are very few people finding cartridge-based games. So I'm not going to mention every single system in this, but let's look at release dates. I mean, obviously cartridge-based games like Atari, Nintendo, the original NES, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, technology moves so fast that the cartridge-based systems are out of date, out of style, if you will. So if you look at it by technology, though, your iPhone, your computer, it's out of date compared to last year's model. There's new technology they put into things. So you could look at retro being an age like that, but if you look at technology, it moves so fast that everything is out of date. But, I mean, if you look at the PS3, that came out in 2006. If you look at the Xbox 360, that came out in 2005. If you look at the Wii, that's 2006. The Wii U was later at 2012. So the PS4 was 2013 because, you know, they had that gap between the 360 and the PlayStation for them to try to figure out how to attack Microsoft. And those dates do not make it retro according to this definition that we're talking about. So if you look back at stuff like the PlayStation 2, that came out in the year 2000. If you're looking at date-wise, 20 years, that's before 2004. So then you got your original Xbox, your GameCube. Those are both in 2001. You have your Dreamcast was 99. Everybody loves the Dreamcast. Then you're looking at the handhelds. PSP and Vita, those were later on. The DS came out in 2004. So, DS, Nintendo DS, could be considered retro. So if you're finding those games at these retro GameStops, you know, that could be okay. But PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, the Wii U, that is not retro. That is all just last gen, basically, if you want to call it that. So I don't really want to open up this can of worms because this meaning is so, you know, discombobulated and goes here and there, and people's definition of retro and vintage, and, you know, that gets so confusing. But when I go to a GameStop retro, I am looking for Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, maybe PS2, PS1. That is all under the 20-year retro range. And all this stuff that GameStop is showing us and saying that this is retro, to me, is not retro. Now, you may be younger and find that, you know, that's old stuff. Oh, you got an Xbox 360. Oh, that's old. Whatever. It's still not under this definition of retro being 20 years. So I kind of want to know what you guys think. What is your definition of retro? Do you think GameStop has it right, or do you think they have it wrong like usual? And what are you looking for when you go to the retro stores? Like, what system are you collecting for? And please like, share, and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. And I thank you for being a member of my channel and watching this video. Catch you on the next one. Check out my Gremlins hat. This is a brand new hat. This is Marvin the Martian shirt. Looney Tunes. This is old. I bought this in middle school. They don't make stuff like they used to. Still wearing it, baby.